Just a quick warning, this episode does contain some adult language. Thank you. Look at you, you found my podcast. It's called How the Heck Have You Been? And that's where I catch up with old friends that I haven't talked to in about 18, 20 years. That's all you need to know. Let's get to it. Okay, in this episode, I spoke with my old friend Brian Dutton. We talked about his time in Drum Corp International, his career in education, his work with Colorguard and pageantry, his new exciting job, his interior decorating that he does with his husband, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and a ton more. He's just as great of a guy now as he was back in high school, and I hope you enjoy our conversation, which I chose to start by mentioning his abs, which was kind of weird, but, I'm going to own it and stick with it, so here it is. Oh, I think he's here. Brian Dutton, is that you?
Hello, Mark Dye.
Hey! I love the glasses, man.
Thank you, sir.
I was just about to comment on your Facebook. You said fresh cut, but you're topless in the picture. So I was like, are you talking about the hair or the abs?
All of the above.
There you go. What's up, man? How the heck have you been?
I've been good. I'm just busy all the time.
It seems like it. Seems like it.
Else. But like everyone says, I get to do what I love, so I'm really not working a day in my life, so it's okay.
That's the dream. Oh, man, it's good to see you. I mean, I don't think we've seen each other since high school, I bet, right?
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
I missed the reunion, unfortunately, but I know we've got a 20-year coming around, so I think I might make my way to that one.
Yeah, we need to. So you're up in Missouri now, right?
I am. I'm in Kansas City with my husband. We moved here at the beginning of the pandemic for all the times known to mankind that you could move. But we've been here for about 2 years now.
Awesome. You like it up there?
We do. It's a nice area. We are still trying to find our tribe because all of our friends are back home in either Texas or Oklahoma. But it's a nice area. We really enjoy it.
So is that where Austin's from? Is he from Oklahoma? Or did you spend time there?
No, Austin's from Oklahoma City area in Oklahoma. And we actually met down in Houston when I was down there when I got my first teaching job out of college.
Nice. All right, so let's back up first. So you played trumpet in marching band, right?
That I did.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And am I right? Do I remember you going into DCI as a trumpet player, or did you transition right into doing the color guard stuff?
I was a trumpet player at Bluecoats for my first 2 years in 2004 and 2005.
Nice.
And then in 2005, met a visual technician who ran a color guard out of North Texas and basically gave me a rifle and said, here, learn this and come do this. And I fell in love, and that's all she wrote. And then I transitioned over to color guard and been doing it ever since.
That's awesome. So for those who don't know, DCI, Drum Corp International, is like the professional, what you do if you are so hardcore marching band that you want to do it professionally. Does it pay, or do you have to pay to do it? Is it like, I don't even know. Is it a career thing, or is it just you pay to do it and have the experience?
I say unfortunately because it kind of is, but we unfortunately have to pay to do it until you get to the instructor educator side of things. It's not like how Broadway musicals would be to where they're company members and they get paid to do it. It's just like high school. You pay to be a part of it, and it could be better. I hate to throw that out there, but
yeah. I'm trying to think of anything that's similar to that, where there are a couple things. Much. I mean, I guess like being an Olympic athlete, right? Like if you get deals from people if you're good at it, but I guess you got to pay to get in there and to train and pay for the coaches and all the equipment. But that's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you say the Olympic athletes, they get sponsored and whatnot. And the same thing kind of happens with our activity, but it's more so the organization, not the individual performer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Just in a weird bubble all by itself.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. What's the other top one that's the green colored one? I couldn't remember. Blue coats and
Cavaliers.
Cavaliers, that's what it was. I thought you were a Cavalier for some reason.
My brother was a Cavalier, so that's probably why.
That's it. What did he do?
Blue coats.
Was he brass as well?
He did color guard. So he played French horn in high school, and then when he graduated, because mom basically told us we couldn't do drum corps until we graduated, he went straight to color guard from there because it wasn't an option when he was in high school.
Nice. So what was his? I can't remember his name. I knew it started with a B, right?
Blake.
Blake and Brian. That's right. That's right. And he was 2 years younger than us?
3.
Oh,
So we
okay.
never had
Okay.
any crossover because we only
Yeah.
had 10 through 12 at high school.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing. That's the other weird thing I didn't realize was rare when I went into work with Grapevine Colleyville because they have the 4-year high school. And I was like, y'all don't all call it junior high and 7th through 9th? They're like, no, this is weird to us that, it makes more sense. Imagine how much better Bell would have, maybe not, but might have been if we had had 4 years in marching band with Bell. I don't know. Or maybe for some reason.
I would say there was a degree that it could be, but it was great for what it was, given the fact we only had 3 years going for us. So
Yeah. Yeah, craziness. All right, so where did you go to college?
I actually went to college down at Sam Houston State University, which is in Huntsville. It's about an hour north of Houston. And I got my bachelor's in mathematics and my teacher certification. And then when I was working my third teaching job in Arkansas, I went to Arkansas State University and I got my master's in special educational leadership.
Oh, nice. So did you work with that at all? Did you use that in a career fashion?
The job that basically Austin and I, we were headhunted to go to a job in Arkansas, and to be able to keep the job, I needed to get certified in special education, which I weirdly enough fell in love with. And not weirdly enough, but I fell in love with it. And so I was doing it concurrently while I was getting my master's. And so the entire 6 years that we were there, I was putting that degree to use. Degree to use. Words are hard. Forget it.
Telling me, man.
Yeah. And so it's funny because I have those 2 degrees and I can't honestly say I'm using them right now because I'm no longer in a classroom, but I still get to go and teach with a lot of my clients that have hired me around the country. So I'm still teaching, and the special education part just help clue into, you got to be able to talk to the masses. So
yeah,
I still get to use my degree in essence, which is fun.
Yeah. Well, that's ultimately, that's hopefully the goal of higher education, is that it's not just having the degree specialization, that it gives you skills that will transfer. I feel like we're all jaded now with some of the universities. It's like the rubber stamp process of you just have to have the degree to be hired somewhere. It doesn't matter what it is, but that's cool. So Houston, man, that's Sam Houston College, yeah, but it's in Huntsville. You said it's like an hour north of Houston?
Hour and a half, give or take. It's been a while since I've been down there.
Is Huntsville the one that's got the big prison as well?
Yes, it does. Yeah, we always made the joke, if the lights flickered in the bath building, that means something happened down the road. So we just don't talk about it.
Don't worry about it. Just, yeah. That's funny. So you said you and Austin were headhunted. Does he do the same thing? Does he do, like, what were you headhunted for at the time?
We were headhunted to work with a Colorguard in Bentonville, Arkansas. And so we joined the team, the marching band team there. And while we were working there, I had already had my degree. Austin was finishing his. He actually followed suit and got his special education master's degree at Arkansas State shortly after mine. And so we were working at Bentonville at the same time in classrooms.
Nice. So did y'all meet in DCI, in the Blue Coats?
No, we actually knew of each other way before we actually met, but we didn't meet until summer of 2013. He had just taken a job down in Tomball, and I was working at Sam Rayburn High School, which is in Pasadena. It's on the southeast side of Houston. And the story goes, we were Instagram friends, and he had made a post, and I, being the person I was at the time, made a comment and be like, where was my invite? And the next time he went to the school, he shot me an invite. And so that's all she wrote. And that's how we go.
That's all he needed. He didn't need much. He dropped one little.
True statement.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. And so then you moved. So you said you were headed and y'all moved up to Missouri?
We moved up to Arkansas.
Oh, to Arkansas.
So we were in Arkansas in the northwest corner for roughly 6 years, and then kind of headhunted for another job that got us up to Missouri. And just full disclosure, we don't have that job up here anymore. We've migrated out of classrooms and whatnot, and we have our clients around the country that I work with. And in this whole 2 years that we've been here, have started 2 businesses. I run one of, Austin runs the other, and one is pageantry related, and the other one is more home design, interior decorating, renovation, nice, that Austin runs, and that he's the CEO of that company.
Oh, that's cool. So which one? So your email was at @designs. Is that
That's mine. That's our pageantry. That's
Okay.
marching band, color guard. And then our other business is Dutton Dwellings, which every year that we have been somewhere that we've been together, we've always labeled on social media Dutton Dwelling and that we check in and whatnot. So it was just logical that that kind of became the name. And so we are in the midst of our first house that we're flipping right now. So it's
Oh,
kind of
wow.
hush hush, but it's
Yeah.
all good to talk about it. But once it finally gets done, we have pictures that we're going to throw up on social media and blast to the world. And it's kind of in conjunction with what Austin loves to do with interior decorating, with our accent walls that we have all over our social medias. So
Nice.
it's great. Found what we really enjoy and love to do and have put it to use for us. So it's been great.
So did COVID affect that at all? Like, was that like a COVID change, a COVID switch over side gigs? I know a lot of people have had, you know.
It really wasn't. COVID for us just made us realize, okay, maybe we can do a little more and not have to fly somewhere. We can do something over video, and it actually helped us kind of grow our business in essence. So, silver lining, if you will.
You have to find those these days.
Yes, you do.
No matter
They're
how
out
hard
there.
you
You
look.
gotta find them though.
Yeah, that's cool. So interior design. So what kind of stuff? Flipping houses in general, or are you also just having clients contact, trying to build a client base with help, just designing rooms or things like
Both.
that as
And
well?
so, yep. So I get to go back and use my math brain. We have 2 rooms in our house. Austin has decorated the entire house, and it is really just amazing at what he does. But in our office and our bedroom, we have these 2 accent walls that he had these ideas. And lo and behold, I had the math sketch brain. I was like, let's do this, started a beautiful minding it and got to put that
Yeah.
up. And it's been great. And we've had a few people reach out and be like, can you do this in our house? So that is part of it. And the other half, we found a house that took us honestly too long to find, but we finally found one that's just down the road in the next town over that we're currently flipping right now. So a bit of everything that could fall under the umbrella of interior decorating, if you will.
Decorating.
You
Yeah.
know. Yep.
That's always fun because when we were looking for our house, you go down the HGTV wormhole. It's like, man, I could. This is a whole culture that you could just
Yep.
be a part of it. It's yeah, and it's
Well,
never
and I
going to go
think
away.
that
Like we're always going to need interior spaces to live in.
true statement. And
Yeah,
I think that's one thing that's on my husband's wish list is he wants his own TV special. So I'm like, well, let's make it happen. Let's do it.
that'd be cool. There's a market out there, man.
Uh-huh.
What's your proudest design? What's your proudest thing in your house that you've got that you've like? We have this really cool. We went to the state fair one year and dropped way too much money at the Texas State Fair because they had all this cool interior. They had my wife and I really enjoy wine, and so they had this chandelier built out of wine staves. And I had built like a wine rack in our dining room. I was like, oh, this would be perfect. But then they had this huge, I think it was marble or quartz. It's like green marble or quartz that they crafted this bowl out of, and it looks like a clay bowl because it's all fluted and kind of the perimeter is kind of like loop-de-loop. It's this huge bowl and it was semi-transparent and stuff, and that's my favorite thing that we have in our house. So what's your
We've got
favorite piece?
We've got a couple. I think my favorite was the board and batten red wall that we did in our office. Again, just I got to do the math behind it, and then just doing it ourselves. There's just some pride in we made that happen.
Yeah.
It looks really great when it was all said and done. Yeah.
Controlling the space around you.
You sometimes you have to.
Like Olaf says, this is called controlling what we can when things feel out of control. Oh. Well, I was going to say...
I'm assuming the Frozen references are because of your daughters, right?
Yes. That's well, it's funny because my sister has 3 sons, and we recently were at Disney at the same time as them, and we bought this board game, and it was Disney Villains Clue, which is really fun. But she hadn't seen Princess and the Frog. She hadn't seen some of the newer ones that have come out. I'm like, how have you not? I was like, oh yeah, you have boys. They don't want to watch the Princess and the Frog. They don't want to watch. I forget what the other one was. Like, how have you not seen these? Oh, and Encanto and stuff like that. It's like, come on, you got to. They're the best. But
that's great.
Yeah. I was going to say, I really wanted to talk to you because I feel like some people from high school until now, the last 20 years, have not changed at all. I feel like you have gone through the biggest transformation, or like looking at yourself. I don't know how you conceptualize that of yourself in high school versus yourself now, but like just seeing your pictures on Facebook, I'm like, oh my, Brian is a different person. He like got super fit, got the cool haircut, he's athletic, he's DCI, he's like badass to get over there.
I do appreciate it. I've put a lot of time into myself, and I just, being queer, I didn't really get to be myself as much as I wanted to in high school. And so with the last 18 years, I feel like I peacocked and blossomed, and it's just, sure. I appreciate it. So thank you.
And there were also, I mean, there were also people who, came out during college on social media. I was like, yeah, of course. We always figured. But with you, I think you were probably actively hiding it. I don't know if you're comfortable talking about that or not, but I never had my gaydar go off with you at all, and
it's interesting in the fact that when I go back and look at my high school career, I don't believe I was actively hiding it, and that is not from your words. That's not something that I'm trying to find the right words here. Forgive me. Oh, no, I don't think I realized who I was until I was 18 when I was finally out of high school, because I was just Brian, the band nerd, doing the thing, Yeah. And it was kind of funny because circling back to Drum Corp was a world and an environment that you get to discover who you are. And that's where I really knew who I was. And from there, been on this path that, like you said, I don't think I was hiding it. I don't think there was any gaydar that went off. I don't even think I was queer my first 18 years of life. Let's be honest. And who's to know, really? And I can only follow through with the mindset of, once I turned 18 and I kind of explored the world, I kind of narrowed down who I was.
Yeah, and discovered it about yourself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like it's like the idea of a 16-year-old or something knowing really who they are is kind of absurd. The fact of a 36-year-old knowing who we are is also a little bit, it's like, I still don't quite scary. Know. It's still changing, and you never know what's going to pop up when you hit 40 or 42 or.
Well, and for what it's worth, I have friends in my queer community that they knew who they were when they were 6 and 7, and I wasn't ever baffled by that statement, but I was like, well, shit, I wish I kind of knew way back then. And, everyone's different, and I totally get that. And so mine was, I was just late bloomer.
Yeah. And, even for me, I was a late bloomer too. It was like, not everybody is hypersexualized, and, it almost doesn't come into play for a lot of people until they're in college, really. So, trying to think. Oh, tattoos. I want to talk to you about your tattoos too, because I think I messaged or maybe commented on Facebook. You had posted a
most
picture
recent one.
of the. Are those the Infinity Stones?
Not my most recent one. The other one. Yes, they are.
So are you a big Marvel fan?
Yes. Don't tell anyone.
To put it lightly. Why not? See, I think they
get
so
you
much
can tell
hate.
Anyone. I'm pretty sure anyone can figure it out. No, but Marvel for me, I really didn't get in the Marvel universe when it originally was starting in 2008, because my 7 years in college that I'm very proud of, and all those victory laps that I did, I was just busy with other stuff. And so it wasn't until a couple of years ago, Austin and I, we kind of just sat down and watched a movie, and then we just hopped into this world, and we've been in it ever since. And we go back and watch it every now and then. The original phases, there's like 22, 23 movies, and we'll go, let's want to start it again. Yeah, let's do it. And so I just really connected with everyone's allowed to be there. It's so inclusive, and it just felt like a world that you could be you in. And that's what really connected me into it. And so the Infinity Stones, I've always had a resounding attachment to the number 6 for some reason. I feel like I've got 6 personalities, for what it's worth, and it's the rainbow, which is just in our queer culture. Just there's a lot of meanings there, and I could list out all of them, and there's probably an infinite amount. But the actual tattoo, it's set in an art piece that I saw in Bentonville, Arkansas. It's at Crystal Bridges. It's mesmerizing. You can get lost in it.
Bentonville, Arkansas. I've been there. They've got that really cool children's museum, right?
Yep.
That's where the Walmart family's from.
Mm-hmm. Yep. and that's
So,
where our first headhunt job was. That's where we went.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, because we
And
actually, a couple years ago, we went up to Missouri for vacation. We went to Branson. And
fun area.
it wasn't a great trip because I think our youngest was a little too young for that long of a car trip.
Mm,
And we were kind of running them around too much because they were still, I think my youngest was like maybe 1.5 or 2, which would have made Samantha 4.5. But we came back through Bentonville and we did, that's a really cool area.
it was. We enjoyed living there.
We actually, so do you remember when that duck boat overturned and it was like 16 people or something died? Do you remember hearing about that?
Honestly, I recall something, but I'm not too sure.
So crazy story. They've got the duck boats, which are like you can drive. They're like kind of buses where you can sit in them and drive them. But then they are also pontoon boats. You can drive them down a dock into the lake there, and you can drive around and they'll show you the island in the middle of the lake and stuff. And so we did that. It was really fun, and we came back. And this is about a week later. I was doing some work during the summer with a friend at the school I was working at. And I was telling them this whole story of like, yeah, we rode the duck boat. It was really cool and all this. The next morning, he texted me a screenshot of his phone of this news story where it was like literally a week to the day we had done it. There was this terrible storm, and one of the duck boats overturned. And I guess they weren't wearing life jackets, and there's a whole family who didn't know how to swim, and there were like multiple people died. It was really weird. It was like there, but for the grace of God, I could have been us on that boat overturning. It's crazy. But anyway,
good thing you weren't there. That's quite intense.
But no, going back to Marvel,
hearing something about that.
I refuse to feel shame about loving the Marvel movies. I hate
Me
that.
too.
It's the same. I'm a huge Big Bang Theory fan, and I'm not afraid to say it. Okay, I think it's a great show for what it is. The writing, they've got the formula down, and I'm just there for the formulaic writing for the Big Bang Theory. But Marvel's incredible. I do another movie podcast. And we've done quite a few episodes reviewing them, and I think even one of my picks was Marvel MCU movies. It's incredible what they've been able to do over, just from Iron Man 1 to Endgame. Like, nobody's ever done anything like that in terms of building the sequels and creating this world. It's always just been the stupid Jurassic Park 3 and 4 that's like, oh my, I can't believe they're doing another sequel. Whereas Marvel, took it and they were like, boom, we're going to create this entire complicated world and have everybody on board, including, the people who love the comics and just general audiences. And
it's just great because everything's connected, and I kind of live my life that way. Everything connects, everything relates.
Nice. So I was going to look up that art piece.
I wish I could remember what it was called. It's literally just straight up. It's a hexagon honeycomb that's black and green, and when you go and look at it, it looks like it is double pane glass, but as you look inside, it tessellates and gets infinitely smaller. And it spoke to me. Like I said, you could just get lost in it. So I put that on top of the Winter Soldier shield that is on his shoulder, his deltoid. And so it just, like I said, the whole tattoo, it's got like 3 different parts. So it's the Infinity Stones inside that art piece that's on top of the shield, and it's just kind of buckled onto my shoulder. And it's what's it called? It's my armor, which I like to call,
I see. I'm trying to find the Facebook photo of it. I think it was a while ago though. And so now I take it you're kind of a health nut too, because you said you're working on yourself. In fact, you said you got done with a workout right before you hopped on the call. So where does that come from? Is that just like, what's that?
It's workouts for me are literally just hop outside and I spin my flag and my rifle. And I put in a good hour or 2 each day and just try and stay healthy. That's pretty much it. And then Austin, he's not the chef, I am, but he is the recommendation of let's do this, let's eat that. So he's been really good about being that side of the equation that we've been operating with the past couple months.
So what kind of diet are you working off? Like low carb? Are you doing
Real
vegetarian?
I wish I could tell you. It's literally just typically a good amount of breakfast every single day. Usually, we switch it up: eggs, bacon, sausage, breakfast tacos, maybe a scone every now and then, and then we snack throughout the day. And then we have later in the afternoon lunch dinner, if you will, which is typically a very lean protein and some seasoned vegetables. That's about it.
Nice.
And it works well.
I did something really simple. I did was just I was trying the intermittent fasting type thing. I just didn't eat till noon, and then didn't eat carbs till dinner. So like just kind of way to limit the calorie intake and also just the carbs. And then eat anything I want after dinner. So yeah, I didn't have to feel like I was constantly hungry or starving, but it was still yeah. Have you tried intermittent fasting? Because you do breakfast. I really just think it's calorie in, calorie out. Ultimately, I don't know that it matters when you eat your calories. Even though there's some people.
I agree. I think it really turns into asking your body and letting your body tell you when you can or shouldn't have things, if you will. Because I have a very quick metabolism. I could eat all day long, still at 36, which I'm very thankful for. So knock on wood.
Yeah.
But smaller things throughout the day and just keep it kind of constant, and that's what's worked for us. And I do believe everyone's different. So once you land on what works for you,
sure.
run with it.
So what about going back to high school? What was your feelings of high school? Like, what was your favorite memory from high school? You know, we kind of obviously we were in band together, but I don't know that we had. I'm trying to think what your main friend group was in high school.
My main friend group was let me make sure I say these names correctly. Josh Breslaw.
Oh yeah.
Him and I were really good friends. Axel De La Vega.
Yes, Excel De La Vega.
Excel.
In fact, I haven't seen. I don't think he's on Facebook, is he?
I'm scared to say. I think I'm not sure where Axel is right now. Honestly, we've kind of. I don't think we've lost touch, but I think that's what happens when you get out of high school. It's not that you don't want to be friends, but you just migrate to different parts of the world. Brady Potter was in our low friend group, and I lived down the street from Wes Ward.
Yeah, okay, yeah. And so you all went to Bedford High School, right?
We did.
Yeah.
And there was a few other people just around in our neighborhood. I can't remember names, to be completely honest, but we grew up in the time where we didn't have cell phones, so we were out at the boys' ranch, or we were running down the road on our bikes, roller skating, laser tag, TPing each other's house every Friday and Saturday night.
Every Friday.
I remember those times. Those are great. Those are probably the ones I remember the most.
There was somebody
whose car are we taking? We got to load all the trunk up with as many toilet paper rolls as possible. Let's go.
Who was the trumpet? I think it was Matt. And he always drove really fast. He had like a fast car, and he always got in trouble for like busting a tire going through the turns. I think he was kind of in that same group. I think he was a trumpet player.
Okay, so there's two Matts that come to mind. Was he in our class or was he a class older?
I think he was our class.
The only Matt that comes to mind would be Matt Schoolfield. He was a percussionist.
No.
He had some car that I remember when we had
he did.
Senior lunch. I remember getting in his car and I was just, I'm like, this is amazing. I want one of these cars.
How did your parents allow you this?
Right. I got a nice little purple 1998 Dodge Neon. It was great. Inherited from my mother.
You had a Dodge? I had a Dodge Neon.
Yes, but don't forget, mine was purple.
Yeah.
And at the time, I hated it. And I now realize, why did I fucking hate it? I would kill for a purple car right now because that shit stood out.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, it's hard to find. In fact, it's funny you say that. Sometimes our daughters will play the color game. We try to find a car of each color in the rainbow. And purple's always super hard to find. Actually, pink's the hardest.
Correct.
But
that's great.
Yeah, I actually just found Excel De La Vega on Facebook. I'll have to reach out to him and see. And I just interviewed Matt Schoolfield. He's episode 5, I think. So that'll be coming out
What
soon,
episode number am I? I'm curious.
This will be, because I've only released 2 so far. I'm double monitoring it here. You're episode 7.
Yes! I was going to ask, can I be 7? Please?
Lucky number
I don't know
7.
why, but there you go.
You were almost 6, and then Robert Williams snuck in there, and we scheduled it real quick.
All good. 6 or 7 would have worked. Like I said, 6 is a resounding number, but lucky number 7 goes a long way.
And I already have the artwork for the for the episode.
Perfect.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
Is it with your art by marker? I swear, that's great. That's great.
Like, you look like a different person now, right? Like, you, oh my gosh.
I am. I was small. I didn't have my growth spurt till I got to college. I was so tiny.
It really is great, and I bet some friends will back us up on when I release the episode, because it's like you're now like you're like a glorious butterfly. I don't know if that's weird to say.
Not at all. I
Transformation. Like, man, it's
I
funny because with
finally came out
the
of my
episode with
cocoon.
Steve Pratt, like Steve Pratt is the exact same. Like he's he's solid. Just like he was in high school.
It's funny. I was going to mention Steve. Steve just lived right up the road from me, and Steve was literally my first friend. And I think there is a degree he was drum major, so he kind of needed to be friends with everyone.
Yeah.
But I would cut through his backyard to get to school because we were able just to walk to school. And same thing. He's kind of done the same blossom transformation, which has been really great to just witness. So good for him.
Yeah. Man, he was so great. He was such a great guy. Never like pure authenticity. Like never. I never saw him irritated. I never saw him, be short with anybody. So I keep forgetting to ask people about how they met their partners and stuff. Like, do you have a fun story? You said you connect on Instagram and that was it, but like any fun like first date stories?
Well, the Instagram story is the one we tell everyone, and we love that story. But lo and behold, I think 2 or 3 months prior, Austin's more the expert here. He remembers more. Austin was crushing on me before I knew about him. And we passed each other at a drum corps rehearsal in the summer of 2013. I had just gotten off a stint as a technician. So I got 2 weeks off and I went back home. Well, what do you do when you're bored? Well, you go do what you love. And drum corps was in the area. So I went and watched another corps rehearse. I just wanted to see what was going on. He was there, made eyes with me. Apparently I made eyes with him, but I don't recall at the time. And a couple months later, that's when we finally met. So it's one of those things. I think it was just destined to happen, but you can't be too early. You got to wait your time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, it's funny. It's funny you say that, because I was thinking about that the other day. Because I married my wife Sally, went to Bell. She was a year ahead of us, but we never knew each other at LD Bell. And I was like, man, if we ever met in high school, I'm sure we never would have. She really would have been way out of my league. Being a year older, but also me just being, dorky Mark Dye, playing Pokemon with Robert Williams in the computer lab. Yeah, like I don't think we, So I'm glad we didn't connect till later, because if we had connected earlier, it probably wouldn't have gone well for me. So yeah, how you liking Missouri?
It's good. I think that we have. So to attribute this to Steve Pratt, it's always the 5-year plan. We have a 1, a 3, a 5, and a 10-year plan. But I think in our 5-year plan, we'll be back in North Texas. That's what we're aiming to do. So we want to make these businesses get off the ground, and the luxury of both of them, we can operate them wherever we want. So 5 years, probably back in the greater DFW area. And that I love for many reasons, one of which I get to be close to my mother and my father. But to your question, no, we like where we live. We have a great house. We love the residential area that we live in, and life's pretty great. I don't mean to boast or gloat, but life's pretty great, and I'm happy where we are. Excited for the future, though.
So is like marching band and all the pageantry stuff, is that just as big in Missouri as it is in Texas? Or I imagine it's bigger in like the bigger football states, because I know football's huge in Texas, so I guess marching band comes with that. But is there a huge market in Missouri for that kind of stuff as well?
There is, to your point, football, not so much. But one thing that is much different up here is they don't go to away games. You only do home games. And I know in Texas, you go to every game. So that was a fun positive when we got up here. We don't have to go anywhere on this Friday. Lovely. Let's have rehearsal.
Yeah.
But I think there's a good area of the country, parts of the country that are really marching band. Texas is one. Missouri's got a good collection. Same with the big metropolitan areas up in Nebraska, over in Indiana, Illinois, of course, where the mecca of band is. So, yeah, it's pretty comparable.
Do they still have nationals in Indianapolis every year, the RCA Dome?
They do. Yeah. They do. Not the RCA Dome. It's now Lucas Oil Stadium. You've been out of it for a minute.
I know, man. It's the corporate. I don't know. I guess advertising bothers me in general, but especially the corporate names of sports stadiums bothers me. I don't know why. The Toyota, we got the Toyota Stadium down here, and the AT&T Center, and it was like, guys, can we just call it the Ranger Stadium still? What's the Ranger Stadium now? I can't remember who.
I do not care. I still call it the ballpark in Arlington, and I will call it that way until the end of time. And my father gets on to me for that, but I still will call it the ballpark in Arlington.
Even though it's a whole different building now.
Globe something or other.
Yeah, Globe Life. I think Globe Life.
Sounds right.
It's ridiculous. But I'm trying to remember who I remember competing. Duncanville didn't really do BOA, did they? I feel like they did the UIL stuff.
True. And I think that is still the case for them.
Ronald Reagan High School, I remember, was always at nationals. That's Texas too, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
was
in
San Antonio.
And I can't remember. Oh, that's right, San Antonio. And I'm trying to think of some of the other teams we were always up against up there.
I want to say, from when we were in high school to what it is now, 20 years later, I would say probably 80 to 90% of the groups we competed with are still competitive nowadays, with some new ones popping up with, just population moving into different areas, It's been fairly consistent, I would say.
Let's see. Let's look up the 2002, because I've been getting so much grief for my first couple episodes where I can't nail down the
tisk.
I know Katie Paris corrected me. It was the first thing she said on her episode, and I did look him up the other day. Let's see. Grand National Finals recap. I just want to look at the teams and see where they're from, because you mentioned getting headhunted like twice, and I feel like that probably is a place where it's kind of a niche. There's not, you're not going to find like maybe a nationally competitive color guard, winter guard, multiple places in a certain area. Like I feel like you would have to move around a lot.
There are a few. And if I can I throw out a new job that I got recently that I'm very excited and proud for? I am the visual director for the Owasso High School Marching Band this coming fall.
Nice.
And so they called me up. I have done in the pageantry realm, if you will. There is a choreographer. There's, of course, a technician like we would have when we grew up. People are there every single day. Directors that are every single day. But then moving past that, choreographers and designers. And I've kind of worked my way up the ladder. And I got a job offer this summer to come in and write choreography for the Colorguard, for the marching band, help design the show, and basically do everything but music, because music is not my forte. I'm not about to lie and say it is. I respond to music, and I will give you the visual component that goes with it. But this is a new job opportunity that I've gotten, and we're really excited for. So that's going to be on the national stage come November, and I'm thoroughly excited for that. So I want to throw that out there.
Awesome. Lawrence Central is Texas, right?
Indiana.
Oh, they are Indiana? Okay. LD Bell. Is that Texas? Just kidding. That's ours.
Texas.
Oh, Carmel. I remember that one. Carmel. Where are they out of?
Do not say Carmel. It's Carmel. It's Carmel.
Okay. Where are they out of, though?
Carmel, Indiana.
Okay. Yeah, let's see. Georgia, Indiana, Illinois, Lake Park, Illinois, Texas, Missouri, Illinois, Texas, Indiana, Texas, Indiana, Georgia. That's interesting. That's like 4 states out of the 12 people who competed. Well, it's funny, too, because we had... Now, you didn't do International Baccalaureate, did you? The IB
I did
program? Because you mentioned, like, you've been busy since college. We're like, yeah, but we've also been busy since high school. Like, we did, nationally ranked high school. You were probably in AP, right?
I was in a few AP classes.
Some AP classes. I was doing Boy Scouts at the same time and IB. And it's like... So you sped up when you went to college? Did you even take on more stuff?
No,
Or you were just wanting to get through it?
I didn't slow down. No, well, I did want to get through it, but I went to college wanting to be a band director because that's what I fell in love with in high school. And lo and behold, I still want to do that. But as I said not 5 minutes ago, music was not my forte. I was just good at it, but it wasn't something I fell in love with. And so the visual aspect with Guard migrating in the year 2005 to 2006, that's where I kind of was like, oh, I want to do this. Okay, how can I make myself marketable to be able to do this? Because you can't get a degree in color guard. Well, my other forte is math. I've been a math nerd my entire life. I was in calculus BC when we were in our senior year and whatnot. Still, I remember getting duct taped to the chair in Miss Nelson's class because I was just that ADHD. And I totally understand that now, and I forgive her for that.
Wait. Go back to that, because I remember that vaguely. But was that a bullying case, or was it just
No,
was it the teacher?
I was that much to where the only way for her to control me was she duct taped me to the chair. And I do not fault her for that at all, because if I was in a classroom with a kid like myself, I would have done the same
Wait, what
thing.
grade was this?
I was a senior. Now, don't forget, I was really small, so she was able to get me in the chair and then wrap me around.
But was it like
a
joke? Was it like she was having fun with you?
Started as a joke, but then it became serious. She was like, "You need to sit here and be quiet and shut up." Done.
Oh man, I don't imagine that would fly well nowadays. Did she get in trouble?
I don't believe so. No, because I didn't tell anyone, because I knew at the end of the day I was in the wrong. I was being loud. I was being just wrong. It was great. Okay, I lost my point of the story. What were we talking about?
We were talking about you wanted to be a band director, and so you were trying to get through college.
She had such an impact on me, as well as Miss Stack, Miss Odom, just a long list of math teachers. So I went to my junior year jury on trumpet and failed miserably, like F. Like my professor looked at me and said, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "I'm not." So I went to the counselor and I said, "I need to switch my major." So I switched to mathematics. And I was a junior, and basically they said, "Well, you're going to start completely fresh over and take all these." So I was like, "Great, 7 years in college, let's do it." And I switched my major, and I got my bachelor's in mathematics 4 years later.
So 6 total after switching?
7 total.
7, okay. Yeah.
Luckily, I'd done a few basics along the way during the music education part of things. Lo and behold, I found out I could go back. I think I need like 6 more credits, and I could get a minor in music education, but I want to. Do I need to? No, we're good, Yeah,
it's so interesting, because as I'm like talking to all of us from high school, we all had these ideas of doing what we saw people do in high. Like Steve wanted to come back and teach at Bell. I became an English teacher. You went into marching. You went into the music, like we had a marching band, and it's like it really matters what you're exposed to during those formative years, like what your eyes are open to and what opportunities are out there. I remember my brother-in-law when they were pregnant with our first nephew. I remember talking to him. He was like, "I just want to give them a lot of opportunities, right? So like, just expose them to as much stuff so they, if they see something they like Colorguard or like interior design, it's like, how much interior design classes were there at Bell? Not, probably none.
No,
there may have been,
not very many.
Yeah,
but
home ec probably touched, had a paragraph on it.
I remember taking an architectural design class. I can't remember the teacher's name, but that was one that it had the math and engineering part behind, and being exposed to that, I still feel like I use that today, which is really great. But yeah, to your point, there depends on what you get exposed to and see what
it's so funny
option you want to take.
Because Robert also went to major in math. When I hear people say that, I just don't understand it. I just don't understand how you could make that decision, because I'm such a humanities, it's so weird. It's like, I can't imagine just getting it. Although I will say my college algebra class, or just basic, entry-level algebra, just to get the math credit. But I remember him explaining the quadratic formula. And he was like, yeah, when you increase the A of 2A, here's how it changes. Like, oh, that makes sense. Like, math didn't actually click for me until college algebra. Like, because I was just, who was it? Who was it that wore the tennis shoes with the dress? She taught us, she was a character.
Math teacher?
Yes. I remember I was in that class with David Louthan. And
do you know what grade?
I think sophomore.
Ooh, it was probably Miss Odom.
No, I remember Miss Odom, because I think she actually taught at Hearst Junior High before she moved up to Bell, if my memory serves correct. So I think I saw her both.
And now that I think about it, what was your last math class? Because I think I was a math class ahead of you.
Yeah, probably. I can't
because I got all the way
what
up
the
to
class
calculus.
was.
Well, then I want to say it might be Miss Stack.
Maybe.
STACH.
Maybe, yeah. But I remember being in that class and just thinking, I just need to figure out the formula here and play. Like, I don't care why it works. I don't care what the premise is behind it. I don't care about the math and philosophy of mathematics. And like now it's really important because I do like woodworking, and it's like measurements are important and geometry is really important. And I'm now understanding. Oh yeah, of course. Like I do like math.
This
and I do
is
like
where I use it now.
Yeah, I do like hearing about math and learning science and mathematics now. But at the time, I was just like, I just got to plug and play and get the heck.
My favorite thing to do, because I taught math all in my teaching career. I did gen ed and I also did special education. But at the end of it, I would have kids, when am I ever going to use this? And I'm like, I get it. I understand. But I always approached it with, it's a problem. We're just trying to solve it. We need to be problem solvers. And here's the tools to get you to do that. And I think that for me, along with a visual understanding, because that's what always clued me in. Once I could see something and see how it worked, I was like, done. Let's go
I
on,
loved at Hearst. I loved geometry because I understood that. I was like, oh, triangles equal 180 degrees. Like, and I could figure out what this angle is if I figure out all of these others. And like, I hear people complaining about geometry the most. I'm like, that actually clicked the easiest for me.
You fall into one category. You either like algebra or you like geometry.
Yeah.
And that kind of, there you go.
Yeah. What was I about to say though? What did you actually teach? Because
I taught all of it. I taught Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Cal.
Math, and then were you doing Colorguard at the same time, like what do you call it?
So
sponsor
I wasn't a sponsor, but there are many sponsors out there that's just like the extra. I luckily landed into some roles where I actually had a guard class, and they took a math. They didn't take it away, but they took a math class away from my schedule and gave me a guard class to where I was a legit coach on record, if you will.
Yeah,
which was great.
How did that work at Bell? Did they have a guard class, or did they just do the before school practice? I can't remember.
When we were there, I do not believe they had a guard class. Now, I could be completely wrong, so please don't quote me. I know that things are moving, especially in Texas, things are moving to where guard classes are starting to become the norm. So I'm not sure if it is the case at Bell, but it quite possibly could be.
And then I talked to Davis a little bit about winter guard too. Did you all do that? Did you do that when you were doing the guard class as well?
Mm-hmm. Now, so we would typically.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. We would typically, once fall season's over, we still had guard class, which was I would say third period. Let's just call it generic. When the season shifts over, then we utilize whatever we can in guard class to either get kids caught up, learn the show, but we still would do after school practices 2-3 times a week. That was kind of standard everywhere.
And the floor, I'm trying to, because I was on floor crew, and I can't, Davis didn't remember if it was a tarp. Like, it's a big tarp, right, that you put down usually. Like, you roll the floor out.
It's a vinyl tarp.
Yeah. Do you order I guess you have to special order those, right? If they're a different color, do you just sew them together yourself?
I would say the vast majority of duct tape, actually. But the vast majority of people will go to Shutterstock, find an image that they want to perform on, send it to one of the companies, and they print it out. And there's 3 main sizes. There's either 50 feet by 70, 60 by 80, or 60 by 90, depending on how many kids, size of the school and whatnot. And it just changes each year. And there are some groups that I know for a few of my groups, we would buy one a year, and then the next year we would flip it over and paint something on it so we could get a double use out of it.
Yeah, that's smart.
And they start to add up in weight. Those things about 500 pounds each. So, floor crew, thank you for doing your service. We really do appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It had nothing to do with the fact that we were all dating color guard girls and needed
Not
brownie
at
points.
all. None whatsoever.
Good times. All right. Well, we're getting close to the hour mark. So I have a couple things. I've got your yearbook dedication to me.
No. What did I say? I'm nervous.
It's really bad. No, it's not.
Is it really?
I don't know why people get nervous about it. I don't know what.
I do, because I'm like, what the fuck did I say? I don't remember.
All right. Here's what you wrote to me. I think this was 2002. Mark, this is my corner. You wrote it kind of like in a corner. This year was hilarious with you. Next year is going to be even greater. I can't list all the times we laughed, but I know they were all great. Have an awesome summer. Call me and we can cruise or something. I mean it. And then that was your 8787 number. Do you still have that number?
I do. You can call it tomorrow or today, whatever.
It says see ya. It says see ya next year. It's funny. Most of us still have the same phone number. I think I do too.
I'm glad I still have the same phone number.
That's crazy. And then I have a quiz for you after my prepared statement, but I'm going to get
Okay.
a little cheesy, a little from the heart here. But Brian, because of your passion for what you do and for life, I am sincerely grateful and better for having known you. You are just one of the hundreds of kind, generous, and benevolent people I know in a world where we need every single one we can get. Please keep being awesome and doing awesome things. All right?
Oh,
And congrats on your new job. I'm excited for that as well.
thank you, sir.
Now, I almost was going to give you a quiz over Benjamin Button because your name sounds vaguely similar to it. Brian, I was like, that's kind of a stretch, though.
That's fair.
My favorite, and I said this in the last interview, but my favorite was Katie Paris. Her married name is Coleman, so I gave her 3 questions about Paris and 3 questions about the Coleman stove. The two, I'll just never top that. So I prepared a quiz over the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Perfect.
Are
Let's
you
go.
ready? I bet you might get all these. Let's see. All right. The first one is multiple choice, and then all of the rest are open answer.
Open response. Cool.
Open response. Number 1. What type of doctor is Doctor Strange? A, heart surgeon. B, a neurosurgeon. C, a pathologist. Or D, a radiologist?
Answers one more time.
A, heart surgeon. B, neurosurgeon. C, pathologist. Or D, radiologist?
B.
Yes, correct. Is that sign
B.
language? Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Did you ever use that to cheat in class?
No.
Okay.
This is my first initial, B.
Oh, there you go. All right.
I can get to like E and then F. I forget.
I think my sisters took it. I never learned it. All right, number 2. Who was able to pick up Thor's hammer in Endgame?
That would be Captain America. Next.
Correct. Who was able to pick it up in this is a non-question, but who was able to pick it up in Ultron? Age of Ultron.
Vision.
Yeah, Vision. All right. Number 3. In which movie did Spider-Man make his first appearance in the MCU?
That would be Civil War.
Correct. What's the full title, though?
Ooh, Captain America Civil War.
There you go. All right. Number 4. Pepper Potts is allergic to what?
Strawberries.
And number 5. This one might have gotten me, but probably won't get you. Hawkeye has how many children?
3.
Correct. All right. You didn't even blink on those. All right. Except for
No,
that,
I didn't.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Those were good questions, though. Those are great.
I was trying not to do super easy, but I also didn't want to. Yeah, we
Asked me to name them, I would have missed it. I will be honest. I don't remember
the
their
doctor
names.
one. Yeah. So my wife and I that's like our thing is the new Marvel stuff. So we actually always wait for each other. Now that the Star Wars stuff's coming out in Disney, she's like, "Aren't you going to wait for me?" Like, nope, not on this one. You can have Marvel, but because she's not as eager to watch them like the day they come out. I'm always like, "Oh, it's Wednesday morning. We got to watch the new Obi-Wan." Both Marvel. In fact, we just watched the first half of the new Doctor Strange, and then we had to pick up the girls from our camp. But I'm eager to finish that because we never saw it in theater. But we rewatched all 22 leading up to Endgame. Like you said, I think
Nice.
you said you did the same.
We did. I think that on the phase 1 through 4, I think we just passed the first Avengers. I think. I can't. They all run together now, but we're somewhere in the beginnings. We usually try and get one once every 2 weeks, give or take, if we have the time.
They're so good. That fight scene from Endgame, I could just watch the fight scene on repeat
totally.
from Endgame.
Well, and it's funny when we do Infinity War and Endgame, we have to make sure that we start it at 5 p.m. because we will not watch them both back to back. We're not going to wait no time. It's like right after Infinity War, boom, 5 years later, done. Moving on.
I did like in the new Doctor Strange, they're kind of like questioning whether he really should have given the time stone to Thanos and stuff. I kind of like that, the guilt there that he's potentially feeling for having blipped everybody out for 5 years.
I like where they're going with everything so far, and I know we won't really know where they're headed for probably another 2 or 3 years, but
yeah.
To all the naysayers out there, I'm just let them have their cinematic adventure, and if you don't like it, go apply for a job and change it. But I'm having a great time watching. It's great.
Exactly. I remember, speaking of Robert Williams, we went to see the last Lord of the Rings movie in theater, and that's the one where it like ends 3 times. Like you think it kind of like fades to white And then there's another scene where the hobbits are going back. And so I was in theater, and the people were kind of like groaning and complaining about how long it was. And Robert was like, yeah, more movie? I didn't pay for this. As if like, it's like, come on, guys. This is, you don't want more content? Like, come on. It's great.
Right.
It's great stuff. All right. Well, on that note, keep watching those Marvel movies, Brian. And again, good luck in your new job. Thanks for sitting down and talk with me. Hope it was good.
Thanks, Mark. I really do appreciate it, sir. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. I'll see you when you come back to North Texas, man.
Sounds great. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
All right, that was the show. Thanks for listening, everyone. Today's episode was recorded by Mark Dye. Our editor is Mark Dye, and he is also the executive producer. The intro and outro music was composed by Mark Dye in high school. It's really just me doing this. To support the How the Heck Have You Been podcast, visit artbymarker.com and buy some cool art. Thanks, y'all.